Hello and welcome to Logistically Speaking, a new podcast series for small business brought to you by UPS Canada. I'm your host, Rick Spence, and I'll be your guide as we explore the changing world of business and help you reach beyond our borders to grow your bottom line. Throughout this series, we'll be chatting with industry thought leaders, UPS experts, and entrepreneurs just like you in order to find out what it takes to run a successful business in today's competitive global markets. With the credit crunch and an economic slowdown looming over our heads, it's never been so important to look beyond our own backyard for growth and export opportunities. Recent reports from the likes of the Bank of Canada and the Conference Board suggest that Canadian businesses are losing ground in terms of international trade. Entrepreneurs especially are wondering how they're going to weather a U.S. recession. The challenge is clear. Canada's businesses need to diversify. Here to talk to us today about growth strategies for tough times is Amgad Shehata, Vice President of Government Relations for UPS Canada. Welcome to the show, Amgad.
Thank you, Rick.
So tell us what you've been hearing today from your small business customers. What are you hearing lately regarding their concerns about the economic climate here in North America? What trends are you seeing?
Well, I guess I would be remiss if I didn't talk about what everybody's talking about, and that's the strength of the Canadian dollar at this point, what that means to their businesses. As you know, Rick, I know you've been working with small, medium-sized enterprises now for a lot of years, and Canada's really made up of about 1 million small businesses versus the U.S. economy. So the dollar certainly has an impact on Canada, and what I'm hearing from small and medium-sized businesses is the smart ones are now using the strong dollar to do things they haven't done for about 10 years in Canada, and that's invest back in their business, buy equipment that they haven't been buying, and look at ways to use the dollar more efficiently. Some others are retreating and focusing on the Canadian domestic market and trying not to really look at opportunities outside of Canada to the U.S. We think that's a mistake, but the Canadian market is quite finite, as you know, in regards to opportunities.
So do you think that is the Canadian dollar, if it's on par with the U.S., is that a huge problem for exporters? I mean, it seemed that we were getting used to the 88-cent dollar, but now that last 12 cents or so, is that the straw that broke the camel's back for a lot of Canadian exporters?
I think I don't know if the dollar at par did it, but the speed at which it did it and the adaptability of Canadian businesses, again, the ones that hedged, the ones that, nobody probably foresaw this, the speed at which they were able to adapt is what either helped them grow or put them out of business.
And of course, the essence of our capitalist system is adapting to whatever comes along. So I guess that's the key for entrepreneurs, is to be able to adapt to these situations.
Yeah, and as you know, Canadians are very entrepreneurial.
So is now a good time for Canadian businesses to consider exporting beyond the U.S.? Is that one way they should consider adapting to this new reality?
I would agree with your statement. What we're in is probably here to stay for a little while, depending on who you ask. Defining it isn't as much as how do you react to it, and how you react to it now is you got to look at other markets. Again, the Canadian market is finite. There are any newspaper or magazine you pick up, emerging markets in the world, and those emerging markets have strong middle classes that are growing and buying. Canada is a strong commodity country, but there's other countries now that are growing their middle class and buying North American products. And if you are a Canadian small business, you really need to look at how you can get into those markets efficiently and help grow your Canadian business.
What do you think has been keeping Canadian exporters out of those markets? What's prevented them from going global and going beyond the U.S.?
In a small, medium-sized enterprises of 20 or 30 employees, they're doing everything. So I think what may be making them not grow or making them reluctant to grow is they're very busy working in their business rather than on their business. And, I've really seen people that take a step back and say, what is this ground that's shifting under me? And if you're a smart entrepreneur, you try to find ways to grow to that shift and find opportunities. So, back to my point, if you're working on your business, you have to look at the fear of the unknown. What are these new markets? What are the hurdles? What is it going to take for me to enter that market or to find a way to get new suppliers, rather than just surviving every day?
Do you have any idea what kind of Canadian exporters are going global now? Any examples of the sort of products or services that Canadians are exporting beyond North America?
Customers in Canada that can create a Canadian brand internationally. There's value in that. There's actually a good currency in the Canadian product. I've seen Canadian customers who did not participate in the verticals within their industry begin to go to European trade shows or trade shows in China, or engage with trade consultants in those countries where the Canadian government have offices there that help broker deals, even small deals to begin with, in these emerging markets. So to my earlier point about fear, these customers figured out a way to work with existing infrastructures, whether they're governmental or industry-specific, and begin to dovetail, get on a plane and begin to talk to people in China or in India or in Europe, where they believe they can create a niche for this Canadian product. There's competitors for them from all over the world, but again, they leverage the Canadian brand, they leverage existing mechanisms, infrastructures, trade shows, government organizations, and begin slowly to create new markets for themselves.